Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi is expected to establish an Electoral Reform Consultation Panel following the signing into law of the Electoral Amendment Bill by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Motsoaledi is expected to set up the panel within 4 months after the gazetting of the amendments. This will allow independent candidates to participate in the national and provincial elections without being part of a political party. Now, it follows the historic Constitutional Court ruling that found that the Electoral Act was unconstitutional as it did not allow independent candidates to contest elections. Now, let's discuss this further. We're joined by Dr. Michael Lewis, the Chairperson of Independent Candidates Association. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, this bill has been described by some as a piece of legislation that is flawed. Do you agree? What's your reaction?
Well, obviously, we agree in the sense is that we've got a good history for the last 2.5 years as civil organizations that we've really already conveyed to Parliament and to the Minister our concerns regarding the bill. We've always thought that we've been constructive. We took part in every single public participation invite that there was. And so they shouldn't be surprised that we believe that this bill is unconstitutional. They know exactly what the grounds are. There's no surprises. And we are really just regret that the President decided to sign this bill into an act.
We are obviously here because the Constitutional Court, found that the Electoral Act of 1998 was unconstitutional. But talk to us about, and also for the benefit of our viewers, what this essentially means now going forward for those independent candidates that will be taking part in both national and provincial elections.
Well, the big thing is that's the sadness about this bill, because in the last 48 hours, we've just received notes of congratulations that finally independent candidates can stand. But the problem of what Parliament has done is they dealt with this as an administrative issue, where they just said and saw how they could get independent candidates to stand in both national and provincial elections. But what they did is they dealt with it as an administrative issue and not a human rights issue. And what has happened is, and the truth about it is that they've made it absolutely impossible for independent candidates really to stand, because the barriers of entry are making it just absolutely impossible. And the effects of the system that they chose, that independent candidates need to stand against political parties in the regions, the way vacancies are determined, the way of wasted votes, it really isn't a very constructive and attractive law that will really encourage independents to stand and to broaden our political landscape that we so badly need.
Fundamentally, are you complaining about, just the barriers? You mentioned the barriers of entry, but also once you are there, there's also this threshold that you have to meet, particularly if you are contesting at national level, I would imagine.
Well, the big thing is in this whole case, 4 years ago, we represented Chantal Revel, that, for instance, is a princess in the Khoisan people, and there's no political party that can accommodate her. So firstly, for her to stand, she needs to get between 11,000 and 13,000 signatures just to qualify, where a political party in the past only needed to get 1,000 signatures. And then also, currently, a member of parliament only needed 43,000 votes to qualify for a seat in the National Assembly. Now, Princess Chantal Revel must get between 88,000 and 92,000 votes to occupy a seat, which means that independent candidates need more than 82%, more than a political party in some instances, to qualify. Now, that's not what Section 9 of our Constitution says, that everybody must be protected and equal in front of the law.
Now, what do you make then of this consultation panel that is to follow, the Electoral Reform Consultation Panel that will now be established by the Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi? I mean, what hope do you have that during this period, during this forum or this panel, some of your needs and your questions and your concerns will be addressed? And to what end do you see that being affected?
Well, the big thing is that we've seen that Parliament has had a number of commissions. We saw the Van Zyl Commission in 2002, the Praga report. We saw President Moshlanti with the high-level panel report. And the big thing is about this sunset clause that we call it, that's now in the bill. It doesn't compel the minister or parliament to adhere on the recommendations. So we've seen for the last 25 years that parliament didn't adhere to any recommendations. And so we haven't got great confidence in it. The only thing is that we do know is that the reason for this clause to be put into the bill is that the minister himself hasn't got the confidence that this bill is a fair and free bill, and that it does allow a system where one vote is equal to one seat. So whilst we did support that sunset clause gets put in, because especially on that we were always wanting to have a more accountable system, which is a constituency-based system, and time didn't allow us to do it, we do believe the only way that this new commission that the minister is going to appoint could really give a system where there's more accountable officers by virtue of a constituency-based system.
The IEC released some staggering figures, indicating that close to 8 million young people have registered to vote in the upcoming election in 2024. These are the ages of between 16 to 29 years old, if I stand corrected. What does this mean then? I mean, you speak about the threshold that an independent candidate would need, and those numbers are quite vast. I mean, is this not an opportunity in any way that maybe this group of young people is one that you would have to tap into? Because year in and year out, when it's time to go, to elections, the only thing that South Africans hear is this is a party not to vote for. The narrative is not, this is the kind of leader that you need. The education around just electoral reform is not there. What then needs to happen for candidates, independent candidates, to tap into this market?
Well, the big thing is that that's such a beautiful question, and I feel so strong about it, is that we have to change our political landscape, and it can only be a systems change. And so that's why we, and you're so correct with the young people. I went to a number of the submissions of the young people, why aren't they voting, and the 8 million that you said. And the reason why they're not voting is because they said, don't just give us a political leader and a flag, and then we must vote for that person. We want a more direct election where we have a constituency. Show us who the person is that's going to lead us. Give us his background, give us his face, because at the moment we've got what we call an open party list system. And it just compels the political party to put the flag of the party and the leader. But you don't know who represents the people. And so we've always promoted what we call an open party list system and not a closed party list system, whereby every political party must divulge to their constituencies who their leaders are. This is what the youth want. And then lastly, we really believe that we need new actors, new faces, new voices. I'm so sorry to say it, but I really believe people are looking for new energy. People that aren't, the old style voices. We need new, vibrant people. And you might know that there's 16.6 million people that went to the polls in 1994. 19 million people didn't go to the polls. And we believe by new players, new independent candidates, we must at least target another 5 million people that can go to the polls to broaden our democracy and make it more accountable.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Dr. Michael Lewis, Chairperson, Independent Candidate Association.